Hi, Kermo here. So I will start this episode with a riddle. Yeah, you didn't expect that, did you? So, a photographer does it for beauty. An artist does it for meaning. A criminal does it for blame. Same act, different reason. What am I? So we have been talking about healings and hurts. And if you got the answer to that riddle, then you have the answer to the second step of healing that I talk about in this episode. In this episode, I share what I believe to be the heart of the healing journey and key steps on how to do so. Now, I am almost certain that you did not get that riddle, but you always come on in and let's continue the conversation. So with that said, I'm David Cromwell, and I believe in the virality of thought and the power of conversations to shape how we live for the better. Now, this space is where those conversations happen and a home for people who are on a journey to truly live the way we were created to. Welcome to this safe space. Welcome to Cromwell's Harbor. All right. Hi. So I started off with a riddle, and in it lies the key thoughts behind this episode. Did you get it right? I have a very strong feeling that you did not, but I will definitely not share what the answer is yet, but I will share in a bit. But today I wanted to talk about something that I have seen and have found to be one of the most important steps in healing, if not the most important, actually. So in my experience, I have found this to be the heart of the healing journey. So to give an expose on this step, I will go back to the injury analogy that I used in the first episode, tagged "Are You Hurting?", which was a very great opener to this conversation. I think you should listen to it if you've not. So when you get injured physically, a key step in the process of healing is to give it some space to breathe. Any similarities to a quote from my president is purely coincidental. To breathe. All right, so if the injury is covered, the doctors will probably remove things in the way. They will remove dirt, dead tissues, all in a bid to expose the core of the injury, because without this, healing the right way would not happen. Now, this particular step of the process can be likened to what we talked about before in the last episode of sharing, where we open up to people, open up to God, and what has happened to us, and this gives the wounds in our hearts the daylight to breathe and start the process of healing. Now, in addition to this, there is something else that happens. Here, the doctors will apply a disinfectant. They might even give drugs to strengthen your immunity, to help support the process of our antibodies to begin the process of repairing the body. Now, here, the work is a bit more direct and intentional to the process of healing, and this step is the emotional equivalent of what I will be talking about in this episode. This is the step where we do the deep work, the sensitive work that gets to the heart of where the wounds are and the process truly starts. Yeah. So I've teased you enough, and I think I can share what the answer to the riddle is. And the answer is the word frame. So photographers use it, artists use it, and criminals do too. Right. So interestingly, in our healing process, our frame actually matters a lot and is very central to the process of healing. So frame simply is just the vantage point of how you look at things, right? A frame determines what you see and what you don't see, even though those things are there. A frame is actually a version of what reality is. And you can give it a try, right? Stand a couple of feet from your window and look out. What do you currently see? I actually mean this. I actually do. Or if you're looking out from a vehicle or something, right? Or if you're in a moving vehicle, that's even a nice one too. That's a very nice analogy. So as the vehicle is moving, what are you seeing? Because I imagine that people listen to this pod on transit, etc., right? Or if you're listening to it in your room, you can try it out. What are you seeing now? Now come a bit closer. What happens? What do you see now? Now try to look from a corner of the window. What do you currently see? Now in each of these frames, what you will notice is that what you're seeing is changing, Some things are getting bigger while other things are getting smaller. Some things are coming into the frame while other things are disappearing. And this principle itself is behind the heart of the healing journey, what I refer to as the frame. Now, if I could take it a step further, I would say the key here is to frame, but more importantly, to reframe, and to reframe with the truth. Now, I want you to listen to this with your heart, because this is so important. So what exactly is your frame when it comes to the things that you've experienced? Let me show you. So I want you to think of an experience that you might be healing from and think on these questions. When you look on what happened, what do you see? What answers or conclusions have you arrived at from what happened? When you think of what's left of you or who you are after the hurt, what do you see? What do you think you can be? When you think of the others who were involved, what do you see? When you look at what's left and what the future holds, what do you see? Now, these questions give you an idea of the frame that you currently have. And feel free to replay the past 30 seconds if you need to, just to think on those questions all over again. Because the truth is that we all have a frame. We have what we're looking at. And when we have the opportunity to actually reframe, that then now becomes the power that enables us to truly heal from an experience. So when I say reframing with the truth, what I mean processing all that has happened to you and answering those questions that I mentioned a minute ago with answers that are truly wise, healthy, applicable to where you are, that are not just motivation, but they go a step further and they actually work, and they leave you better and not bitter, and they actually give you the chance to be whole even after all that you've experienced. Now, this is the heart of the healing journey. Now, one thing that I do want to say is that your healing journey will be very relative to your frame. And wait, I'm not just using the word frame because because this is the word of the episode. Like, it actually is applicable here. And what I mean is that it's relative to where you are and what you have been doing. So it's possible that maybe you've been trying a particular set of steps, and so the missing piece is like that missing thing that just takes into another level. So maybe you've been doing a lot of sharing, and what you need to do is actually to get answers. Maybe what you've been doing is a lot of you've not acknowledged that you are hurting. So many times it's relative to where you are at, and sometimes the missing piece is what you've not tried yet. So I would say take the steps that I share in this series of episodes as an ingredient list, right? Things that need to be present, and then you can find a way of applying them to your context in the sequence of what you have been doing or not doing. But one thing that I do know to be true is that no matter whichever way you slice or dice this, wherever context you might be, everything that I've talked about over the past couple of episodes, and I will talk about in the next episode, would be absolutely pivotal to the healing journey for you. Yeah, they actually truly help with healing. And I'm talking about this not from a distant place. I'm talking about from things that I've actually lived and things that I still do today, from things that I'm growing from. All right. So obviously, you know how I roll on this broadcast. Like, I will be as practical and as real as I can possibly be. And I'll be sharing what the actual steps are. But before I do so, I want to get into something. So from my conversations with people and even things that I've seen with myself, I have seen that the healing journey can be frustrating. So sometimes it can feel like as if it's been so many years and nothing has changed, right? And I just want to encourage someone that it actually works and it's actually worth it. So we might sometimes need to correct some notions that are out of place and try an approach that actually truly works. So sometimes it actually is an indication that maybe the approach is not working so nothing is changing, because when you do something that works, it actually tends to work, right? And that's not trying to be deep, it's pretty simple. So, and with that said, I want to balance out something that is a saying that is a bit popular, but I think now seems to be balanced out. So one great thing about punchlines and quotes is that they are so good at doing what they do best. So communicating so much in very little words to be very catchy, but still carry weight. But then within that strength lies its weakness, is that life oftentimes is more dynamic than a few lines can carry. So people say that time heals all wounds, and I'm sure people listening to this episode can look on wounds that they've carried over time. And maybe you hurt a bit less, and maybe it has worked for you, but there are probably people that can say like time hasn't healed this thing. It still feels like it hurts a lot. And I just want you to just know that don't be frustrated. That saying is not incorrect, it's just incomplete. And here is the balance to it. The fact is that time with intentionality is actually what truly heals wounds. So the intentionality is where we actually take those important steps that go to work in the places that truly matter. And a big part of that is what I'm talking about today in this episode when I say reframe with the truth. Now, I can almost assume that people always think like, you probably expect that like, oh, this is something motivational, but I promise you I'll shock you. I'm a deeply practical person, right? So the word reframe sounds like something that you've heard, but I promise you'll be shocked. And you would enjoy this episode by the time we're done. So I'll go ahead and I'll share the steps that I took and my own personal stories, like I always do. And I hope it helps and give you the things that you need to take with you on your journey. All right. So speaking of sharing, don't forget to share right now with someone who you think would like this or benefit from this, right? So even right now as I'm speaking, just share the link on your story with a friend. If this is good stuff, which I know it is, and which the 1 a.m. or 2:36 a.m. on Monday morning, as I'm heading to my 9 to 5, which I'm preparing this, tells me it is, let others get the opportunity to be a part of this as well. And share with someone, please. So the first step that I found in reframing with the truth is, it's not easy. Should I talk? I'm saying it now. Should I talk? All right, so you're still listening. You want me to talk? So, but yeah, the one that said I should talk, so I will talk. The very first step is empathy. To have empathy. But there's a twist to this. When we think about empathy, we always think about taking a step in other people's shoes. Empathy in this particular episode and on this podcast is a bit more balanced. It is both to yourself and to the other people that are involved as well, right? So in essence, I am saying take a step in your shoes. Now take a step out of it and take a step in their shoes. And by there, I mean the other people who might have hurt you or people that might have contributed to your pain or your hurt, right? And I'll be honest with you, this actually takes some time. And I would say don't rush it because it's a very delicate balance and should be put into context of what we had talked about in the previous episode of sharing and acknowledging that you're hurt, right? It's a bit of a delicate step is because it's hard, number one. Secondly, it's also because it's a balance, because if you go to either side of this, it can be hurtful, and if not timed rightly, appropriately, it can actually do damage. But what I would say is this: it's easier to give what you have received. So if you receive empathy from others and you give it to yourself, it's much easier to give it to someone else. And that's why, like I said before, sharing is so important. And I was talking about what I said in the previous episode, where as I was talking to Tifa and I was sharing, part of the things that really, really helped me in the ability to give empathy to others was the fact that I was able to share with someone and they could give empathy to me. And just as I received that from the Lord, as I received that from his people, it became easier to be able to give that to someone else, right? But when you do this well, this particular step, you will come to this conclusion. And the conclusion is this: that everyone is flawed and we are all humans, including myself. Everyone needs grace, including myself. And everyone is capable of being better and doing good things, and that is including myself. So I once heard Maya Angelou say this, and she said, "I am a human and nothing human is alien to me." And she explains in a very beautiful and elderly grace that she had at that time that I have not forgotten even up until today. And what she was saying was that because I am human, I am capable of terrible things and amazing things. And I think that kind of helps you be centered. And gives you that push to be able to just give empathy to people. But like I said, like it can be a very difficult step because people do really heinous things, and I don't know where you are at with your own journey. It's possible that you're looking at some things that people might have done to you, and genuinely, like you genuinely cannot understand that a human being can do this. So I guess for those who are in that kind of position, my heart really goes out to you. There is hope, there is, and let me share something that I don't know if will help, but I hope it does. So, one thing I've seen is that hurt people many times are the ones that hurt people. And behind every magnitude of evil that you can see is a human being like you and I who has succumbed to evil to influence them to a very, very strong degree. And see yourself like this last resort to a hurricane that is devouring a city, or like a superhero where there's a tide that has wiped through an entire place, and your job is to resist that tide and to prevent it from going through you to spreading to other people. And what I mean is that hurt many times tries to culture you to make you become what has hurt you, or tries to make you the exact opposite of what has hurt you, or tries to give you a hatred that will start to eat you on the inside. And so meet that evil with love and just say that, you know what, this is going to stop here. And I'm just going to have empathy and see that, like, guy, babe, you're a human being. You succumb to evil, but like, I see that you're human, and you don't need to force yourself to let go. I think it will come organically, but just seeing that that person is human, I think that many times just opens up that door to healing. All right. So I said it was hard, and I know, I know it is. But like I said, start with receiving, and it's easier to give what you've received. And this is what helps me with healing from the heartbreak that I had. With the help of others, I was able to realize that I needed empathy. I wasn't perfect, but I was doing the best with what I had, who I was, and what I knew at that time. And the same thing applied to the other person, and neither of us deserves to be the villain in any story at all. Yeah, I think that's a healthy place to be in your heart, and I hope you this is a very important step that I think you should come to that would help that process of healing. The next thing would be what could have been done better. And this is where I would tie into something that I ended with in the last episode, and that is that, are you being comforted or are you being lied to? Is your version of reality a balanced one, or is it something that just makes you feel good? And with this, you have to then now start to ask the important questions that, what did I do wrong? What did they do wrong? And what could we have done better? This applies to different contexts, but I would say it doesn't apply to every situation. So some situations are genuinely things that were not within your control, things that happened to you. You might have been innocent at a young age and someone abused you. It could have been someone that left when you were growing. And these things were things that genuinely there's nothing you could have done better. Like, these are things that happened to you, and my heart really goes out to you. And you can feel free to either skip to the next chapter in the episode, or listen to this in the context of other situations that you've experienced, or maybe listen for other people. But like, I don't want you to put that burden on yourself to try to solve what other people did in their, like, there's not a lot you could have control about this. And genuinely, yeah, like, you don't take that burden on yourself to try to solve that, right? But in some situations where genuinely you had a bit more control, it's actually healthy and good for you to look out to what could have been done better. And not just by the other people, but also yourself as well. And this actually places the experience in the right frame and gives you what you need to feed your growth as a person. So for me, what I realized was that I needed to be a bit more patient with the context of the people that I was with at the time and their history, right? And this is part of where I realized this series of episodes need to be released, is because hurts are guiding and pushing and influencing what people do, and we don't even realize it. So, here I am recording this in Monday morning. Why am I doing this? It's because everything that we all do in society are all influenced from the lenses of things that we've experienced, right? And sometimes we don't realize it, but hopefully this episode just helps people be whole, right? In that context, what I realized was that many times when you deal with people, you have to hold the backdrop of where they have been to interpret what they do. But this is where balanced empathy comes in, is because I realized that I also had some things that happened to me. Like I lost my father at a very young age. I had some burdens I was dealing with, things I was growing with at that point. And I needed someone who was also going to be patient with my own growth curve at the same time. So you see how these things kind of fit into each other, right? When you are able to see what could have been done better, it kind of gives you that thing that, okay, this is what I should do next time. This is what I should look forward to in another person next time. But it's always important for you to be able to come to terms with what could be better. It is very, very, very important. And the next thing that I did was, or one thing that I found to be very important, is to ask questions and to search for the truth. So I guess I could rephrase this as get healthy and wise answers to the things that truly matter. So where do you start from with all of this? I'm like, what questions should I ask? And those questions are the questions that are currently burning in your heart right now, right? Don't shove them in, let them out and actually ask them. Ask those questions that you might have on your identity. What does your future look like? Will you ever recover? Would you ever be whole? What will be the fate or the outcome of the situation if you're ever in that kind of situation again next time? Like, this might be very deep and painful questions to answer, but open up yourself and just look out for answers to these questions. Because one thing about the way we work is that subconsciously our hearts give us answers. There's no vacuum in science class. They always taught us that nature abhors vacuums. So if you have not intentionally answered these questions with the right answers, your heart has come up with answers and the world will give you answers. And so you have to be intentional to come up with the answers that truly empower your healing process and does not aggravate it even more. And this is where people come to terms with some very dangerous narratives that we hear in society, where you say men are scum, women are gold diggers. It comes from breakfast. People have tried breakfast, and and the response, sometimes trauma responses, are to protect yourself from ever experiencing that by defending yourself. And the way some people defend themselves, and which is sometimes natural to do so, is to hate the object that hurts you. But you have to be intentional to find the right and healthy answers, like I described earlier. And I don't know where this journey would lead you, but please go on it. And this is where I would recommend that you pray, because no matter how far or close you feel to God, just pray to Jesus, right? And he actually cares and he will actually move. You might not be struggling with your faith, don't worry, he believes in you. He believes in you, don't worry. But talk to him. Let this even be something that he uses to confirm that he's actually there with you. Just ask him that, like, Lord, direct me to the things that I need to know to help me heal. Because he knows what your heart needs and he knows how to guide you to your answers. And one thing I've also realized about this is that it's not even deep prayers. It's not even like, I found that sometimes, like, one of the most powerful experiences that I've had with God has just been like the ones where I have just been bare. Like, simple sentence, I'm broken, Yahweh send help. Quickly. But I just knew that it was very, very heartfelt. It was very, like, from a very contrite heart. I don't even know what that word means, but it feels right to say right now. And I feel like there's a power to that, and there's an intimacy in that really, really produces a lot of results. So please do that. And you could get your answers from different places: counsel from friends, experiences that you might have, a line from a movie or a song, a sermon. It could be a random conversation. It could be a scripture. It could be a book, a blog, things that I say in this podcast, or things I might have even said up until now. It could be, being around people who have healed and, or maybe have never even experienced this hurt. Now, this is something that I found to be very, very practical, is that people that never experience things that I have experienced, when I'm around them and I see the way they think and the way they live, there's some things I could just take from them. Like, there's a pastor that I really admire the way he leads. He's not insecure and doesn't feel the need to prove himself. You can disrespect, I won't say disrespect, but you can say things that I mean, people might say, oh, why would you say that to me? And he doesn't take it to the heart. Like, he just has a very strong sense of who he is, and it's just very level and even keel. And when I'm just being around him, just many times just really helped me in my own journey of defining who I was as a leader, because I'm a firstborn, leader in some context as well. And it's been a journey that I have genuinely, like, it's been an interesting journey for me. I won't lie. I'm very honest. And so just being around people like that, just many times just has a way of just teaching you things that can be said in 1,000 words without anything being said at all. Right? It can come from anywhere in your own journey. But when it does, it will open up a door of light on the inside that starts and begins to heal your heart. And this brings me to a question that I got from a friend over the last episode. And the person was asking that, I think he had experienced a breakup and different things, and was wondering, like, people are saying different stuff. What's in their call? What's happening? What do I do? Right? And he told me that, he shared with a lot of people, and people were saying conflicting things. And I was like, where do I really go with everything that has been said? And one of the things that we kind of came to terms with, or I responded to, was, for me, how I know an answer is the answer that I should have is I look at what it produces in me, what it produces in the world. Does it make me more loving? Does it make me line up with the Bible? Does it help me understand the world better? Is it true? Is it actually something that works? Is it loving to me and loving to others? Is it balanced? And I think a scripture that really explains this really well is James 3:17, where it talks about what wisdom from above looks like. It says, wisdom from above is pure, it's peace-loving, it's considerate, it's entreatable, right? It means that it can be reasoned with. It makes sense. It can be negotiated. It's accommodating, it's gentle, it's full of mercy, it's full of good fruit, it's impartial, and it's sincere. And I think when you are able to look at the product of the things, by the fruit, you will know whether what you are hearing makes sense or not. But I usually look at that, and that usually just helps me know, like, if I'm getting the right counsel, on the back of the fact that I have prayed authentically to God and I trust that He will guide me. So I usually look at that even when I read books, even in business, in different facets of the world. I usually look at what it produces. So, it's part of the things that forms my business ethos, right? Because, when you're in MBA class or when you're learning things, and they're probably not teaching you scripture, but they're probably talking about, like, practices. So is the practice that they're talking about, is it like, when I think about things like competition, there's a healthy way to look at competition, because competition helps us be better in serving people. That's a healthy way of looking at it. But when I start looking at competition in a way like, I'm trying to, like, attack other people to prevent them so that I can be the only one that makes them, that's unhealthy. Do you understand? So I use this lens to judge everything, not just even relationship, not just even healing from hurt. I use it for everything. I just look like what I'm hearing. Is it truly wise? And I usually use that backdrop of what I just shared now, and I hope it helps you. All right. But yeah, so when you get this new information, it helps you reframe, and it's truly puts things in context, and then you just have hope for the future that, this will not happen again, right? This is what happened. This is what could have done better. This is what I did wrong. This is what I will be better at. This is how I should be seeing the world now. And, just liberate your heart to be able to move and to be the whole you again. So in my own case, like, dealing with the relationship that I poured myself into, one answer that I got was that every relationship succeeds and fails on the back of two people and not one. So in my previous steps, I talked about things like balance, empathy, and what could have been done better. So I want you to just think about this now. That would help you come to the conclusion that I came to. And that is that if two people had bad experiences in the past, with which we should all consider when we relate to each other, and it's good enough to be able to have empathy, like to just consider when we deal with each other, who comes first, right? Whose past is worse enough to be justified to come first? Think about that. Because you trust me, whatever answer you've come to, if you're in a relationship in any shape or form, you will need the answer of that question. Because everybody, when we experience things and we deal with each other, everybody feels like, oh, I like, do you not realize that? Like, imagine, like, an analogy I always hear, married couples, maybe somebody went out and a person came back and met the house a bit dirty. And the person is like, why did you clean? I had a very long day at work, or I had a very long day wherever I went to. And the other person is like, what do you mean? I had a very long day doing one, two, two, at home too. Right? So who comes first? Everybody's justified. Who comes first? The answer is no one. And that's why I learned the most powerful thing not the most powerful thing, that's exaggerating, but a very powerful thing. But it's very, very powerful. Honestly, I can say it's the most powerful thing because it guides everything that I see the world through right now. Not see the world through, I see relationships through. Right? And that is the fact that every healthy relationship is a picture of two people who are willing to forget their justification to come first and are on a two-way street to look out for each other, to run to meet themselves in the middle, and nobody's measuring how far we both traveled. We just want to get to each other. We just want to serve each other. So I'm not looking and like, oh, I met you in the middle to consider, like I'm not trying to, when I'm thinking about compromise, I'm not thinking about, oh, I traveled 10 meters, you traveled 5 meters. Next time, let it be 7.5, 7.5. No. Like, I just want us to be together and I just want to look out for you. And I'm going to take an eye off of my back, trusting that you are looking out for me. I know you have my back and you can freely let go of your own back because I'll be considering your own context. And I can let go of my own back because I know you'll be considering my own context. And we just meet ourselves in the middle and we serve each other wherever that lands. Now that is very liberating. And I think another thing that kind of helped my healing journey was the fact that no two people are perfect. People are just conducive to grow around each other. So the picture is this, that I'm not perfect, but around you, I can grow, be better, I can make mistakes and everything in between. And I can do so in an environment around you that would actually help me be a better person. And the same thing applies for the other person. Like, you are not perfect, but around me, there's a healthy environment that you can actually grow around. You will not be judged by your mistakes. The things that you don't do wrong will not be things that will create a toxic environment with us. Like, what actually makes a healthy relationship isn't even two people that are perfect or two people that are ideal per se, because I don't think anyone is. Maybe you are. You should probably release your own podcast so that we can know how you do it. But I think a lot of us are being perfected. And the thing that makes every relationship bang and a healthy relationship is the fact that we're on our journey of being perfected and we both are conducive environments to each other's perfecting journey. Now those two answers are the reasons why I actually was able to enter into another relationship. Because I just realized that, like, okay, this is what could have been done better. This is what could have been done better. This is what I could have done better. And this is what healthy can look like, or this is what better can look like. And amongst other things, but just kind of give that push to be able to start it over again. Another example, I'm just going to be vulnerable and I'll share even more. So losing my dad was quite tough for me because I did so at a young age and we're just starting to get to like each other. And, you know, so just laughing in heaven like, David liking each other. Well, you know, I was in my teenage years, so we had a very interesting relationship when I was in the teenage period. I was very stubborn. But I was a very good child, so sure. But so I remember one day when we were grieving and everything, and the preacher came and then he said to us that, he just said a couple of things I can't even remember so well, but he said that, one day you see your dad again, and he said he's in heaven waiting for you. And I think that was the first day he just opened up like a light in my heart that like, oh wow, that's true. Because like my dad was ill before he went on to be with the Lord. And, it was very encouraging to just think on the fact that like, oh wow, that's true. Like he's actually in a better place. You know, people say it a lot, but like, you know, when people are ill, yeah, it's not beautiful. It's not cute at all. And the idea that he was whole, he was fine, he's probably rejoicing, just that picture just made me realize that like, oh, he's in a better place. And the best I can do on this side of eternity is to be the best that I can be to make him proud and his legacy. And one day, after I've lived a long life, I will meet him again and, we'll talk and we'll catch up and everything. But I feel like that truth just kind of, it just gave me like the freedom to be able to just move on. Not move on in sense like to move on, because I'll be lying to you if I told you that it's not something like, I feel like especially when it comes to parental grief, you open up new levels of the pain or the experience with every time that passes, right? So when you come across that, it's like, oh man, I wish I had this, I wish I so it's still like a perpetual process that I'm going through. But I think at that phase, what I needed to move and to continue with life, that really helped. And it's something that still carries me even till today, amongst many other things, right? So I have shared so much and I hope this really helps. But I don't know where your journey of answers will take you to, but don't hide your wounds, heal from it. It's worth it, and please go on that journey, right? And one last thing that I would say you should keep in mind is that no matter what answers you get, it would always end with the fact that your best is not in your past. Healing is possible for you. You can be whole in that area again, and there's a life of beauty that is possible for you. Now, if you don't come to those conclusions, keep looking, because you haven't found the answer yet. Because as long as God is alive, there's always going to be better at the end in his hands. So you know how people say that hurt people, right? Healed people can heal people, and we can start a new trail of healing that leaves the world better. So start, outline those questions that burn, trace them, ask them, until you get truth that really heals and gives that hope that you need on the inside, that will lay your heart to rest and will turn on the light for a better future that is truly possible. So that's a wrap. It's been a while since I have been here, and that's why I pushed myself to record this at this time. I've missed you guys a lot, and you guys also pray for me as well, because it's also getting harder to be able to do this. I also need support. If you're interested in helping out with the editing, pushing things, even contributing on donations, whatever, to AI that might help speed up the process, or to recruit people that could help with the process, please, whatever way you can think of, I would appreciate that a lot. Thank you. So with these episodes, they are all coming to a wrap. I just have one more episode left, and I'm just looking back like an artist, just seeing all of them come together like this beautiful picture for your healing journey. Yeah, and I hope you can see it too. But please use these episodes. I'm pouring out myself in this. I feel like Paul said, a drink offering. But yeah, like I'm pouring myself in this, and I hope it really helps you in your journey. All right. So yeah, please share, like, review, rate the podcast, and share your story with me, share everything. Okay. All right. So with much love, see you next time on the pod. Bye.